I really just, everything hit my heart. It hit my heart 2 days ago. It hit my heart yesterday. And I'm seeing different things happening. And I absolutely did not plan to make another video following up this mass shooting in Texas. But as a mother who's lost a child, and I know what it's like, and I know what the fallout is, and the seeing the things happen and unfolding, and the messages that are coming in my email, I can't not speak out. These are teaching moments. I'm an educator. That is what my passion is. And I want you to know what it is like. I don't want anyone to have experienced this situation. But this is what sparked this third in a series video after our Texas shootings. I received an email from a academy, a children's academy that I was thinking of using some of their materials for. And I only signed up. I haven't used anything. And now I'm getting regular emails from this academy that, has education materials for students around the world. And it's Dear Barbara. I mean, my name is infused in there. They don't know me. We're taking a day out. We have this special offer. We're putting it on hold today in honor of this. Give your loved ones a hug. Really? That's where we stand, protecting our children. We've been doing that for years, and they're dying in masses. And it just struck me so badly. I said, you don't know me. I had to write back, and it spurned this. You don't know me. I find your email insulting because I have lost a child, and it was just suicide. So that's not an easy death. And there's so much fallout. And it was suicide as a single mom, estranged, dealing with parental alienation from the other parent, alienating hatred against the other parent with your children. Now, this is over 20 years ago. And so I knew it was alienation, but I wasn't quite sure of all of the different depth of it, the cruelty of it, it's like Putin. I will not stop until I'm done decimating everything in its path kind of things. And people are dying, and our children are dying, and our children are being affected by this. And I'm keep finding people that have never heard of it. So I found this message insulting because these families and parents and all the relatives have to walk this path now. And after I got that email and I sent a response back saying, this is so impersonable. Really, this is a George Floyd moment. This is a platform. We need to seize it to make change and find solutions. It's not okay. The Parkland parents are furious. Maybe if something had changed in honor of their children dying to save other children's lives, it makes it mean something. It makes losing your child mean something. To do nothing and go, okay, let's hug each other. I'm hearing from grief counselors that are saying the same thing. Don't tell me to pray. I have been praying. It's not enough. We need to take action. We need to make solutions. It is not okay for our children dying. It's not okay for us to be the one country in the world that this is happening to. Let me tell you some of the scenarios that happened to a parent who has lost a child. I turned on just a little snippet of something after, because I had to just, I'm really sensitive now that I've learned about trauma and had to deal with such massive grief. And it's been 20 years, over 20 years of work. How do you learn to manage your nervous system? How do you learn to respond to triggers? Because this event triggered me. It triggered the death of my child. And it's triggered that I am being estranged from my grandson, and my other daughter is choosing to do that because this is what these children are taught. They think it's their own idea. And I used to not say anything because I didn't want to ruin those relationships we tiptoe around. But All game is off now. There's too many lives that need to be saved, and you need to hear my story. And my daughter needs to hear that what she is doing is training her own child to reject her later in life. And I, as a mother, want to create something that maybe is a wake up call for maybe not her, but every other mother or parent that is estranging their children from a parent who loves them. This is not about child abuse. We certainly don't want to put children into sex offenders or abusive situations. Let me give you a few scenarios of what I have had to live through. And so that's why all this work has been done. And I apologize, I'm outside, but it feels so wonderful to be under this tree, and nature is healing. Even though I am at my home, on the outside patio, and thank goodness, being in Florida, the humidity dropped and I can even sit out here. But underneath this tree has brought me a lot of solace, and the plants around it and the serenity. But you will hear some cars going by. Sorry to get off task here. So let me just tell you a couple of things. My sister, she didn't want to tell her children that my daughter had died. That's her cousin. So she called me and asked me to pretend that my daughter didn't die. Yeah. Can you pretend that your daughter didn't die? Because I don't want my children to be affected by this. Yes. My mother, my daughter's grandmother. My daughter was 15. Now, my daughter was a difficult child. She was extremely brilliant and beautiful, but she was a conflicted child, and it created a lot of havoc. And let me tell you, I was not always this kind, happy parent. It was very, very challenging. And so my mother said, I really didn't know her. Oh no, I didn't know her, because people want to distance themselves for what happened. How could this happen to you? This can't be in our family. This is disgrace. What's going to happen? Oh my gosh. So you get ostracized by family. Many people who have lost a child, I've met other adults because I've been in support groups. There's one called, I didn't know about it for 6 months. I wished I had Compassionate Friends. I think they might have just changed the name, for parents who have lost a child. Do you know how many marriages have broken up? Do you know how many parents have committed suicide because they could not save their child? It's an innate thing. Think of animals. I felt like a mother bear surrounding and circling, you know? Addiction. Addiction is huge because you can't even bear the thoughts of what's happening. Now I'm in a later generation, and this hasn't been said to me, but I feel it. And I realize that I am an intuitive person, and I got made fun of all my life for feeling. But what we know, and what we know now from science, is we are not in our head. It is not the intellect brain, it is the heart. The heart actually runs the brain. The SEALs and the let's say surgeons and teams that work together. Really, the SEALs, especially like when they brought Osama bin Laden, they did not have to speak to each other. They could communicate in such a well known fashion. They could feel first. You have a few seconds before your brain kicks in or you're analyzing something. Think about it. Your heart figures out what hormones need to be done by your feeling state. And I just got so much trouble from my mother. You wear your heart on your sleeve and don't feel this. And what I know today is what I feel matters. What I feel is huge signs. And so I'm going to bring this up, and it's sensitive because parents like us have to walk this fine path. It's not over. The little snippet I saw is from all these relatives even coming to the community center. What do I tell their siblings? What do I tell their cousins? And when my sister was doing that, I go, oh, don't you think my background's early childhood education? So when you hold secrets from children, it's scarier for them. They don't know what to think. They hear snippets of information or hear different things. They're going to see things on the news. And so they make up their own story, and they're scared because no one's talking to them. Please do age appropriate things, but you must tell your children. And I thought, gosh, what would her cousins think? Erin just disappeared. No one ever mentions her name. Everything's gone. She never existed. Do you think that would scare a child? Where did she go? What happened? Is that going to happen to me? Think about that. That's what I've lived through. And then it was years later, I was like, oh, Barbara, your sister told her children. They got a priest to tell them. They said she was in a car accident. And then you want me to have these close relationships with these people? And everyone has to do their path. Everyone has to live their beliefs, but I get to live my beliefs too. And I am telling my truth. I'm speaking out and I'm telling my truth. And this has to stop because this affects our whole population. This affects other kids, copycat. This affects other disgruntled people. This affects so many masses of people. And then there's another one and another one. And so what are we doing in our society? This is bigger than one family, one school, one person being gone. It is a ripple effect, a plague on our country, our family structure, our violence. Everything is affected by this. And we look for root cause. Okay, yes, it is about guns and getting them easily. And it is about loving our children. Over 40% of children, from what I've heard from some attorneys, aren't being born out of wedlock. And that is okay if you have a significant relationship, that if you co-parent. But I believe these are signs from our children of how distraught they are by not being loved and cared about as children. Because loving, caring people don't do these kinds of things. And we are all responsible. We're all responsible. So the snippet I was going to say that I feel intuitively is now we're into the next generation. So my nieces and my nephews, now they have young children, 5 years old, 6 years old. They don't know I had another child. So am I allowed to talk about having another child? Do I have to pretend that my child never existed or didn't live to make other people happy because they might be worried? Maybe you're not going to get invited to things. Or I can see as the children get older, they'll be afraid. They are afraid I'm going to talk about it or they're going to hear about it. And now I'm speaking out on YouTube. I'm speaking out to others because this is what the journey's really like when you lose a child. And our suicide rates are up like crazy. I'm not a statistics person. I don't even want to look at the statistics. I just know and I just hear from other people in this space. And also I do go to survivor of suicide meetings to help others, to give them hope. Kids, I'm hearing talks from other mothers and I'm on threads from these groups. 12 years old, happy kid in school, on all the sports teams, looked up as a leader. And now they took their life. Well, you may be faced with this. And it is all this outside stuff that you have to deal with for your whole life. It's going to be 20 years in October that my daughter's gone. And look, I'm dealing with this from family, from everything. It is very isolating. Some people have families that join together and they support each other. But also people get tired of hearing you and your pain doesn't go away. It lessens, it changes. But all of these people have lifelong sentences now where they were once happy in this thriving community that I hear about. That this one person could create so much destruction. And on the other side of the world, these families are being just blown away. Everything they've known, lived for, their culture, their livelihoods. It's all the same. But in our country, change has to happen. And I don't care if you want a freaking gun. It's enough. People don't want LGBTQ people. Okay, well, who are they hurting? We are focused on the wrong things, in my opinion. And we have to start going in the solution. And it comes down to every one of us, not a few politicians that are out there for their own self or getting paid by organizations and lobbies. I'm sorry, the lobbyists for sugar, what has that gotten us? Disease. We're all paying for it in our medical situation. You know, sugar is like legal cocaine. It does the same thing in your brain. You know, and now assault weapons at an 18-year-old and you're allowed to get them. So what about those shopkeepers who sold them those guns? That person should be responsible. When people have something in as a consequence, things will change. Let's stand up. Let's not send these little emails. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me give you a hug. Hug your loved ones. You're going to be good. You don't know if they'll be here tomorrow. It's not okay. I've had grief counselors starting to post the same thing. This is not okay. I'm reeling from this. So many people are dealing with helping people through the situation, helping through grief. But how much we need more counselors than we do people because we're all suffering with this. It impacts all of us. I should be working right now, and in a way I am, but I also have to deal with self-care. And if we just turn our heads, I didn't want people turning their heads when my daughter died. I wanted them to think about it, to remember my child, to think of my other daughter and the impact on her. Do you know what happened? I'm sorry, I'm getting real and rough because now we need to. I feel like Aaron Brockovich. I really do. I had arrived at my former husband's home with yellow tape around his house. Caution, you know what is. He just said, please rush over. He never calls me. He's refused to ever speak. And there's a police officer in his driveway and tells me not to make trouble. Don't make trouble now. I'm like, excuse me, why am I here? What's going on? And then I want to go call my other daughter who is working at Panera. And a neighbor called her to tell her to come home, not the mother, that my rights are taken aware of. And this, so I could prepare her for hearing of her sister's death. That's what makes me think of this today. People might be hearing on TV. And my daughter comes driving up to this whole neighborhood standing outside with yellow tape everywhere. I didn't, as a mother, have a chance to cope and introduce the situation to my own daughter. Those are the things that haunt me. People take your rights away. They take over. They don't, what did she know about talking about her sister or being a mother to that? Hurry up, you better get home right now. How dare you? These are the things that I've had to live with that actually are harder even than the death of my daughter, because that I can heal from and I can have a spiritual relationship with this child. Let's all go out and do something. And let's stop these freaking guns from getting in the hands and assault weapons. I don't care what it means to our politicians. I don't care what it means to how much money are the gun manufacturers making? Bukus. At whose expense? At the lives of our children. Why should they be scared to death? Why should you be scared to death to send your children to school? Our children's education is so important. It's so watered down as it is. Frightened children can't learn. Frightened children can't have healthy relationships. Fear does a lot to our nervous system. I hope that this makes an impact to what I'm sharing today, because I know what it's like, and I know what these families and these people face. And all the ones before them, and innocent children in their bedrooms, sleeping, getting shot through the walls. It's got to stop. When will we wake up? Or now we're just immune to it. We're immune and complacent. Go hug yourself. Go hug a tree. Yeah, that's going to save a life. I'm over and I'm done today. And I'm sorry if this is harsh on you. I don't care. I want people to wake up and take a stand and have courage, a courage to take a stand. and save our children. Thank you so much.